statue was recently unveiled in the Supreme Court of India's Library for Judges. The figure, which still holds the familiar scales of justice, has undergone notable changes. It now features open eyes, and instead of wielding a sword, it holds a copy of the Indian Constitution in its left hand. The removal of the blindfold from the statue suggests that justice should not be blind to the unique challenges that marginalized communities, minorities, and vulnerable groups face in India, its unique cultural, social, and political context. Namaskar, I Vishwarupa Rath welcome you all to Uday India Digital. Today I'll tell you about the unveiling of the open-eyed statue representing justice in Supreme Court. In a significant departure from the traditional representation of justice, a new statue was recently unveiled in the Supreme Court of India's Library for Judges. The figure, which still holds the familiar scales of justice, has undergone notable changes. It now features open eyes, and instead of wielding a sword, it holds a copy of the Indian Constitution in its left hand. Gone is the blindfold, a universal symbol of impartiality that has long been associated with justice in many legal systems, particularly those influenced by Western jurisprudence. These alterations are not merely aesthetic, but reflect a profound ideological shift in how justice is perceived and delivered in India today. The classical image of Lady Justice is one that most people recognize: a blindfolded woman holding scales in one hand and a sword in the other. Each of these elements carry important symbolism. The blindfold represents objectivity, suggesting that justice should be administered without fear or favor, and that the social, economic, or political status of individuals should not sway the course of law. The scales symbolize fairness, ensuring that every argument is weighed equally before a judgment is passed. Meanwhile, the sword represents the authority of the law to punish wrongdoers, emphasizing the coercive power that underpins the legal system. However, India's legal system has been evolving in ways that demand a rethinking of these traditional symbols. The new statue, with its open eyes and constitution in hand, marks a departure from these colonial-era representations of justice. India's complex socio-political landscape requires a more nuanced understanding of justice, one that is more aware of the inequalities and injustices still prevalent in the society. The removal of the blindfold from the statue suggests that justice should not be blind to the unique challenges that marginalized communities, minorities, and vulnerable groups face in India. Moreover, by replacing the sword with the constitution, the statue underscores that the ultimate source of authority in the Indian legal system is not force but the rule of law, as outlined in the Constitution of India. The Constitution is the foundation of Indian democracy, embodying principles of liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. By holding the Constitution, the statue emphasizes that it is this document, not punitive power, that serves as guide for all legal judgments and actions. The shift from a sword, a symbol of punishment, to the Constitution, a symbol of governance and rights, indicates a move away from retributive justice towards a more reformative and restorative approach. The open-eyed justice is particularly significant in the Indian context. Unlike the traditional Western model, where justice is blind to ensure impartiality, the Indian legal system is recognizing that impartiality does not necessarily require ignorance of context. India's rich diversity, historical injustices, and socio-economic disparities demand a form of justice that is empathetic and informed. This shift in symbolism is also a part of a broader movement to decolonize India's legal system. India inherited its legal framework from the British, and many of the symbols and institutions that define the country's judiciary still bear the mark of colonial rule. However, in the decades since independence, India has sought to carve out a legal identity that reflects its unique cultural, social, and political context. In conclusion, the new Statue of Justice in the Supreme Court Library is more than a mere aesthetic change. It is a symbol of the evolving understanding of justice in India. By removing the blindfold and sword and replacing them with open eyes and the Constitution, the statue reflects a judiciary that is aware of the complexities of Indian society, committed to constitutional values, and focused on delivering justice that is fair, empathetic, and reformative. This shift signals a future where the legal system in India is not only a guardian of law and order, but also a champion of social justice and human dignity. With this, I conclude this edition. For more such news, stay tuned to Uday India.